In October 2018, Lion Air flight JT610 to Pangao, Penang crashed fatally. A year later, the families of those who died have been given some answers. The report, compiled by Indonesia's Transport Committee, confirmed what many suspected: the error was mechanical. The committee also cites lack of communication and education as contributing factors. But some victims who were given early access to the report were not happy with its conclusions and asked that the airline be sanctioned. Lion Air's own report declined to give a reason for the crash, but did make suggestions as to how airline maintenance and training could be improved. Last month, Boeing settled the first financial claims relating to the crash, with victims' families reportedly due to receive at least $1.2 million each.
A Northern Irish doctor opposed to this week's decriminalisation of abortion is warning that hundreds of medical professionals would refuse to provide the service. Dr. Andrew Couples has written a letter saying many fear they would face disciplinary proceedings just for being conscientious objectors.
Hundreds of healthcare professionals in Northern Ireland will refuse to be involved in abortion services. There are even people who are planning to walk away from the healthcare service if they are forced to participate in abortion services. There are also people in obstetrics and gynecology and midwives who are worried if they do not agree to be trained in abortion, they could be forced to do so or reprimanded by their employers or a professional body.
Couples, along with 911 others opposed to abortion, voiced their concerns in the letter to the Northern Ireland Secretary. They've asked for assurances that they will not be forced to carry out abortions or face a reprimand if they refuse. However, the UK's largest abortion provider said the objections are already accounted for in most circumstances.
South Korea and the United States wrapped up 2 days of negotiations on defense cost sharing in Hawaii on Friday. Not much is known about the talks, but little progress is expected as the U.S. has been continuously pushing for a steep increase in its allies' contributions to defense.
The second round of defense cost-sharing talks between South Korea and the United States wrapped up on Friday in Hawaii. The two sides met for the second time since last month's talk in Seoul to negotiate a new special measures agreement on cost-sharing for some 30,000 U.S. troops stationed in South Korea. Details of the talks are not disclosed, but it's expected that it won't be easy for the two sides to reach a compromise as Washington has been pressuring Seoul for a sharp increase in contributions. The two sides are to meet again in South Korea next month for another round of talks. As well as pushing for South Korea to contribute more, the U.S. has been pressuring its NATO allies to up their defense spending.
The troubling discovery in a suburban neighborhood in South Carolina. A home inspector discovering several children under the age of 10, some locked in rooms. And tonight authorities now say 7 children in all. There have been arrests.
7 children, all under 10 years old, are in state custody tonight after authorities in suburban Charleston, South Carolina, removed them from what police are calling deplorable conditions: rooms with feces on the floor and children locked behind doors with deadbolts. Police say they were alerted by a home inspector who found 2 children, ages 3 and 5, locked in a room alone. Police say that one family was renting the home but was subletting the garage and the second-floor bedrooms to 2 other families. There were deadbolts on every door. A total of 12 people were living in the house. 22-year-old Eric Perez Vieira and 26-year-old Diana Salbone are charged with 5 counts of unlawful conduct towards children. They kept their 5 children in one bedroom that police say was the filthiest.
These are shocking allegations out of Louisiana where a high-ranking deputy and his wife, who is a teacher, have been arrested on child rape and porn charges. She's since resigned. The lieutenant was fired, according to affiliate WAFB. They were taken away in handcuffs. Here's our affiliate.
The former commander of the Livingston Parish SWAT team, Dennis Perkins, did not say a word as he was hauled off to jail. Anything to say? Dennis, did you do it? It's where his wife Cynthia Perkins, a former teacher at Westside Junior High School, will spend the night. Dennis has since been transferred to the Ascension Parish Jail. The pair was arrested within the last 24 hours and are without jobs after being accused of heinous sex crimes against children. The investigation involving multiple law enforcement agencies was led by the Attorney General's office after they received a tip from the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. According to a source close to the case, several pictures were seized showing Dennis and Cynthia naked with a small child who was also naked.
আপনারা জানেন যে ভাষান্তরে যে 1 লক্ষ রোহিঙ্গাকে স্থানান্তরের কথা রয়েছে সেই জন্য ভাষান্তরের অবকাঠামো আবাসন প্রস্তুত রয়েছে। ইতিমধ্যে প্রায় আমরা যতটুকু আমাদের কাছে তথ্যপত্র আছে যে শতাধিক পরিবার তারা রাজি হয়েছে স্বেচ্ছায় যে তারা ওখানে যাবে। তো এটা আরো একটু মোটিভেশনাল কাজ চলছে। এখন শীতের মৌসুম, সুতরাং এটা হয়তো একটা ডেট নির্ধারিত হবে, সেই সময় স্বেচ্ছায় যারা এখান থেকে যাবে তাদের যাওয়ার জন্য যে সকল প্রস্তুতি রাখা দরকার সেগুলোও আমাদের।
Now, Samsung Group heir E.J. Yang appeared in court for his retrial over a sprawling corruption scandal. The proceedings could result in a tougher sentence for him.
Well, Yi faces charges of offering bribes to former South Korean President Park Geun-hye while she was in office. He was initially sentenced to 5 years in jail, and this was in 2017, but he walked free last year after an appeals court halved his jail sentence and dismissed most of his bribery convictions.
But in August, the Supreme Court sent the case back for a retrial. It said the appeals court had made a mistake in totaling up the bribes sent to Park. Now, the Samsung heir runs the risk of returning to jail. Yi's next hearing will be on the 22nd of November.
$375 wagons, the longest production train in the world. It's used between Sishan and Saldanha, a distance of about 861 kilometers. This is the longest manganese train in the world, with the highest volumes carried per train. Its payload is a massive 23,500 tons. Driven at 60 kilometers per hour, it's only operated by one driver and an assistant. At 375 wagons, Transnet Freight Rail broke its own previous world record, a 342 production train. This is followed by the Carajás railway train in Brazil with 330 wagons. In Australia, BHP Billiton runs a 268 wagon train, while Daxing railway train in China has 210 wagons.
One of Africa's most endangered species, at least 55 elephants are killed every day across Africa. Over the last decade, elephants' population has declined by about 1/3. Experts say if the current poaching trend continues, the population of the biggest land mammal will be wiped out in the next decade.
The continent's elephant populations are still in massive decline. It wasn't very long ago when we were saying if we go below 1 million elephants in the whole of Africa, we would really be in crisis. Now we're on 400,000-500,000. So have no illusions, we're in trouble.
With human population on steady growth, elephant extinction is a distant possibility.
There's a lot of conflict arises between these humans and elephants due to the elephants raiding their crops, and these are the livelihoods of the farmers. So it is a difficult thing to tackle between the humans and the wildlife, and it threatens both the species and the humans.
From on high, the helicopters descended to collect the remains of Francisco Franco. In life, he was known for his ironclad rule, who saw his own leadership as a Catholic crusade. In death, he became a relic of autocracy, a figure of times past, and a reminder of a troubling era. It was a monument to a man who dominated 20th century Spain, built on a site that holds one of the biggest mass graves in Europe. It became known as the Valley of the Fallen, constructed by the forced labour of political prisoners at the time. Franco's family had resisted the Spanish government's decision to move his coffin. But despite the pressure from right-wing groups, Spain's Supreme Court ruled that the exhumation had to go ahead.
Nos costó mucho deshacernos de un régimen.
It took a lot to get rid of a repressive regime, and it has taken us almost as long to get rid of its artifice of public homage. There is room for all kinds of opinions on when to carry this out, each one with its own criteria.